Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and today I'm going to try to slow myself down a little bit and talk about Soldier. I've had a few complaints in the past about me talking a little bit too fast. I know, do it quite often. And yeah, hopefully we can slow down a bit, talk about this. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Soldier and a really good player on Soldier. Now overall, I just kind of want to talk about the fundamentals of this player, and I feel like he does that very, very well. He got all the way up to Grandmaster, so obviously he's really good at the game. And of course, aim is very important, but he has a lot of other cool things that he also does. One thing I want to mention though is that there's nothing like that I feel like you can't do if you don't put in enough practice. There's not these insane things that are so impossible to do. I feel like mainly it's just knowing where to be, how to aim really well, and just kind of those two main things are obviously just the main things that are actually really mattering. As well with this, just kind of how to play around your tanks and just going around from there. As we start right here, he plays at a very, very good position. Right around this wall makes it that you can shoot the opponents, but when they start to go after you, just hide behind the wall. You can crouch behind the wall, heal yourself up. It's a really, really safe position. You can get out a lot of damage, and really nothing that the enemies can do about it unless they send someone to go after you. So, of course, he does that. He goes around the corner, gets that Roadhog, does really well, and a very similar thing with all these platforms, or not platforms, with all these pillars around. You can pretty much just hide right behind them and just go from there. If you would have heard right there when they were talking, he also did call out that, you know, the Ana was really, really low, and then his flanker went out, got the Ana. Really nice thing, just got a few seconds of team play, got that kill right there. Overall, just gets that Lucio, and of course, they get onto the point. He's been staying really far back, and I feel like that's something that is especially important right here, as he's really far back, and also a lot of times he's to the side. He's right next to where his tanks are. He's not always standing right on his tanks, though. I feel like a lot of people do have a problem where they're on this Reinhardt, and they'd be standing 1 inch away from the Reinhardt right here, because they're like, you know, I have this tank, so I guess I should be doing it. And while that can be good, I feel like all the time, you could maybe be a little bit further behind. If the tank goes down, if the tank gets taken out in any way, or if the enemies just run past the tank, you're still going to be safe. You see right here, even right here, he's still staying decently far back. I was moving up a little bit to try to finish off some kills. Other than that, he's mainly been staying far back, and that's really one of the things that I'd like to say. Just stay a bit further back than you normally would, and don't stay 1 inch away from your tanks, as that's really never a great thing to do. Of course, right there, a nice thing that you should always do when you're playing Soldier against D.Va, once he's jumping right outside of the mech, go for that right click. It'll blow up right as she gets out of the mech. You know, have kill her pretty much. You don't think you have to get a few more shots. Continuing from here, something that I want to say about his gameplay is that he does seem to focus a lot on getting, you know, a decent amount of headshots, but once the headshots stop coming in, you know, the first few bullets, he goes for a lot of body shots, and he's really like, you know, this is okay. Soldier does insane damage, be it headshots, be it body shots, very safe damage. So if you can't get all the headshots, often at long range, you really can't. It's quite impossible, so you shouldn't even try. But you still can't get a lot of body shots, and you still have really, really high effective damage. Right there, he's around the corner. Maybe stayed a bit too far up. I guess he could have shifted, ran away a little bit. But yeah, not really way too bad right there. He could have stayed a bit further behind his tanks. Maybe saw that his tanks were actually going back, and that his tanks actually died, as we see the Reinhardt right here, died. So maybe could have done stuff like that. But at the same time, he did reset with his team, so it was fine. If you do die, you want to make sure that you're dying at the same time as your team. If you're dying way after your team, they're going to have to wait the 10, 15, 20 seconds until you die. So yeah, that's a good thing to remember. Right here, he stands right around the corners, knows that, you know, there's probably going to be a Reinhardt ult sooner or later, and especially since his Reinhardt let down a shield, probably a good idea. Go through that, running around the corner, just trying to shoot as many people as he can. Of course, aims for the Ana first, really obvious thing to do. Jumps around. Of course, if you can get a bit of a height advantage, your ultimate will do a lot more. It'll hit a lot more people, and there's really not as much that you can do against it. Overall, I'd say, even though we don't see it way too much in this gameplay, actually we see it right here, height advantages really do a ton with Soldier76. He's really good at flat, you know, he can shoot pretty well upwards, but of course height advantage is good really in every game because more vision, and especially because you're beating people that have projectiles, or beating people that don't have any way to get up high. You should try to remember that as Soldier, you can get up high with quite a bit of ease with all your speed and with your rocket jumps. And going from there, if you do have a height advantage, you can just maul a lot of people. Even from right here, it'll be harder for the enemy to turn around and shoot you, a Soldier, than you just shooting him. So you should just continue from there. As well with height advantage, if you can be at a good place, such as those pillars, you want to be able to run in between them over and over again. It really can make you a lot more safe as this character. And if you see right here, he's always next to some wall, he's always next to some pillar, he's always next to something that can keep him a little bit safe. There we go, the Ana in the corner. But yeah, you want to be really, really safe with this character. You can go, you know, kind of ham, kind of aggro if you want to, but a lot of the times, McCree would just do a little bit better than that. So you should just be playing where his effective range is, at this very nice middle range, right behind your tanks, where it's really kind of hard for them to take you out. Right here, there's actually a pretty good map for this character. You can go into a lot of high grounds, you can go hide around corners. You just don't want to get next to the middle, of course, because you might just get booped, and that's really never any fun at all. Of course, as well, I do want to say that this player is doing really, really well at keeping his supports pretty protected. Of course, he isn't, always looking directly at them, but there's this Lucio around him, and he's trying to make sure that they can't just run to the back and kill the Lucio. You should be telling your supports, maybe if you are very far back, such as this guy, maybe stand right next to me. If a Genji goes after us, I can probably burst and we should be fine. Right there, overextended like half an inch too far. Essentially, his tanks just went back before he could actually go back, so really not his fault way too much. But yeah, I guess he could have went a little bit further back. Anyways, though, I will say, if you can tell your supports to be next to you, and if you are actually next to your supports, they're going to live a lot longer, and they're going to be doing a lot more effective healing. I feel like a lot of supports do complain that their DPS doesn't protect them. If you're someone like Soldier, you can really protect them. Just make sure that they are standing next to you. It's not always your job to completely follow them all the time, but if they're next to you, following you, they should be able to heal you and just overall do quite a bit better. Alright, there we saw a really nice thing. Of course, the D.Va jumped out, immediately start shooting her, and don't be afraid for her to get back into her mech. Just start killing her and try to kill her before she gets back onto the mech. Best thing you can do. Alright, here, of course, they all push up. He jumps really, really far forward. He could have maybe gotten a height advantage, but he did see that there was actually the Soldier up there, so you don't want to go up Soldier v Soldier when they have a bit of a height advantage, as I was talking about a little bit earlier. He walks way far behind. He could be standing around that corner, but he's playing the much safer route. Since he's right here, there's really nothing that they could do. They could try to send maybe a Genji over to the side, but a lot of the time, Soldier can do okay versus Genji and okay versus Tracer. So if he just stays further back, and if he just stays at a range where they can't really combo him, he should be doing fine. Of course, he gets shot by quite a few people right there, a little bit far away from his tanks, of course staying right next to this Lucio again. The Lucio is really helping this guy out, and with the help of Lucio, they actually got to take that person out. Of course, Soldier is really, really good with healers on your team, as if you have a healer plus Soldier's heal, can pretty much counter anything. So again, staying next to your healers, staying far back, usually a really good idea. I feel like a lot of people know to stay far back with Soldier, but they don't really stay as far back as they should. They stay essentially where the range he is right now, right behind the Reinhardt shield, when they should be more where he is right now. Of course, there's times when you want to go in between, when you want to run in and run out, but if you don't really know the effective times to get close, it's a lot safer to stay further back than to stay further up, especially when you're playing on King of the Hill. As well with this, I feel like a nice thing that he's doing is that he's trying to put a lot of space around the circle, or around the hole in the middle, as he could just try to run on the same side, but if he's on the opposite side of the hole, well, the enemies have to jump all the way around, so they have to make a lot more movement to get to him, and since his effective range is further than essentially everybody else's, except for maybe Widow and maybe McCree in some situations, well, yeah, you're going to be a lot more safe. They have to come to you, and you pretty much always have to make so that the enemy has to come to you as Soldier. You can really position yourself fast with your shift. You can position yourself really, really nice behind walls, nice around corners, nice around just a lot of distance, and distance should be really your best friend right next to your supports. Continuing from right here, of course, he's trying to do as much damage as he possibly can to the shield. When the shield does go down, or when he just stops holding it, try to shoot someone else, of course. The shield wants to be your last priority. Luckily, they just don't jump on the point. They pushed it up really well. That was really nice by this team. But yeah, the shield pretty much wants to be your last priority. If you see someone run out of the shield for even half a second, try to shoot them, and then go right back onto the shield. You do a lot of damage to that shield, but if you can try to get a lot of damage to people, it can do just a bit more, charge roll, and just kind of go away, just kind of from there. As well, I like a thing that he's doing, which is that he's saving his right click a decent amount. Of course, when the whole enemy team's jumping in, when they're all trying to just bomb his team, he goes for that right click. It just makes total sense. Or he goes for that Helix rocket, I mean, if you play on console. But, of course, he saves it a lot when he's just by himself, because there's no real reason to just kind of shove that thing out. It's a lot safer to save it. Right here, of course, he's running around trying to get close up, but he's still playing pretty far backwards. As you see right here, he's not where the clump of his team is. Even when he is pushed up, he's always on the side, around a corner, somewhere that you can't just immediately shoot them at. As that makes it that he can have that further range, and of course it makes it that he just can't really be countered. If the enemies happen to have someone like a Winston or a D.Va jump in, well, they really won't be able to do all that much against the Soldier, because he'll be around a complete different corner. Overall, I'll say, really, positioning is one of the things that you should focus on as this character. As you see right here, just that alone, of course, as well with his amazing aim, is winning him a lot of these fights and making so that the enemies go in on his team, but they don't find a Soldier. They really can't do much against the Soldier, just kind of going from there. As well, he's also seeing that since there's a Roadhog on the enemies, should stay far enough back where he can pretty much never hook you. There shouldn't be a situation where he can hook you, unless I guess you're on the point trying to protect. But even when you're on the point, you can stay kind of on the back corner of the point, or run behind the point, something like that. Alright, here he goes for the ultimate, sees that his enemies are running in, gets that animal ultimate, just has that, I guess, called out in the chat somewhere. Just shooting around, really, really basic. Of course, when you have that Ana ultimate, you can get a little bit closer. It's not really as, dangerous to run around, but still, it's kind of there. What he could have done, I guess, is, well, that was a really good thing that he did. That's a really good timing. What they could have done was maybe gotten high ground on one of those buildings right there. Either or work. And right here, he could stay on the ground or he can stay on high ground. If he's on high ground, he has less places that he can run to, less places that he can position at, and the enemies will probably know where he is. But at the same time, you have the benefit of being at high ground. So you kind of have to give and take. If your teammates are pushing up a lot, maybe you don't want to be at high ground. But on the other hand, maybe you do want to be at high ground if you're protecting, or if you're trying to get a nice push from really, really far away. You're just trying to slowly push up. As we see, though, just continuing from here. He's staying really far back, staying really safe. But if you see his damage and his limbs, he has a huge amount of those things. He's been playing really safe, but he still is doing better than really a lot of the flankers could do in this game. It's just something you want to remember. A lot of people just kind of think that they can't do much. They can't carry 100% with someone that has consistent damage at far range. You really can. It does amazing things, and it can win you a lot of games. From here, he's just kind of outmaneuvering him a bit, but he does see that it's a lot safer if I just run away and then try to kill him with a teammate. There's no reason for you to try to 1v1 people when you don't have to. If your teammates are all close around, run away. Wait for a second, just kind of go from there. But yeah, that's generally just how this guy plays, what goes on in this game, and they just 3-0 stomp these people. So overall, I feel like it was a decent match for him overall. Generally, though, what I'm just going to say, play safe. Play next to your supports. Try to get your aim as much as you can, go into the practice range, just kind of continue from there, and you should be really doing quite well as the character. He's not way too hard to pull off, just getting in positioning correct and not killing yourself, that's one of the main things that you can do, and of course, as well, learning your helix rockets. There you go, though. That's all I'm going to say about this video. If you guys enjoy, as always, leave a like. Comment down below who you want to see in the next video. I want to try to do those as well as I possibly can. And as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.